I really think that if you are not putting yourself really out there, you are missing a huge opportunity to connect with people. And I think we want that more now than ever before.
I'm Jamie O'Kane, CPA, Small Business Advanced Tax Planning and Compliance Extraordinaire. And this is the Abundant Beans Podcast, the podcast that takes my love for learning what makes people tick while digging into the good, bad, and ugly of small business ownership. We strive to give you the insight that only those in the trenches of being and working with entrepreneurs can provide. I think most importantly is, what are the biggest opportunities business owners are missing online?
I really think that if you are not putting yourself really out there, you are missing a huge opportunity to connect with people. And I think we want that more now than ever before. The more the brand founder has a story and that story's out there, the more human a brand is, the more we want to do business with them. And that doesn't mean that you have to show every aspect of your life online. It simply means that you need to show up as a human being interacting with other real human beings. Like these are real human beings. They're not data points.
Right.
And I think treating people like real human beings and crafting an experience for them as human beings is essential. And I think if you're trying to do something different than that, you are missing a real opportunity to build relationships, not just like get transactions from people, but actually to build long-lasting relationships where people will always drive back to you, no matter whether it's, you've got a brick and mortar store or you're online for a period of time or whatever. When they form that relationship with the company they love, they will come back over and over again, and they will refer you to beyond, really. So
yeah, it's interesting. We just did a whole new website for our business. We put the website and the podcast and the firm together, and they were not together before. Trying to create an accounting firm website that doesn't look like an accounting firm website was, the bar's low. So let's start there.
Yeah, it is with accounting firms.
But there's a lot of default, right? So there's a lot of default to, talking about taxes, or there's a lot of default to doing, in-person video instead of on our website, we have an animated video. And they were like, but you're an accounting firm, we should do, in person. And I'm like, no, I want to do whatever is opposite of what's expected, right? For a purpose, but the big thing being we're not your normal accounting firm. Therefore, I don't want to look like a normal accounting firm. But it's still hard to how do you help people be more, it's really about being authentic, right? Yeah. And being okay with being authentic.
What I see over and over again is that we talk to a lot of different practices about, and the first question I always ask is, how did you come up with your pricing structure? What was the thoughts around this? And I probably 95% of the time we don't know. We got a price book somewhere, or it was here when I got here, and we just ran with it. And my next follow-up question is, how often do you change your prices, and what do you use to make those changes? I get kind of the same answer. We look around, we call around and see what everybody else is charging on some of the shop services, and we just up them 3 to 4% across the board with really not a whole lot of thought or input. So I know that pricing, and one of the reasons that we did this is because Dan had a friend who was a veterinarian that was struggling with, what do I do to set my prices, right? Can you help me? Because I struggle with this and I'm losing money and I don't understand why. So based upon that, that's why we looked at a way that, how can we do this that makes sense? It's founded in some, cost accounting science, so to speak, that we can relate to them. But I think a lot of the owners fall into this. We don't know why, we just kind of do it. And we don't really have a handle on it. And the other big point is they don't spend enough time. This is probably the most important part of their practice financially with what they're doing. And they spend probably less than 10 to 12 hours a year, even analyzing or doing this function altogether.
Yeah. And where do people usually go wrong on this?
They kitchen sink everything. They list everything. They we do this, we do that, we work with this, they just list the who and the what. And it just, it doesn't work because confused minds don't buy. There's a horrible statistic that says 86% of buyers can't tell the difference between two suppliers. They really
So
can't.
true.
Yeah.
So true.
They just try to base it on price.
Mhm.
And price becomes their biggest determinant of quality. And then people are constantly trying to undercut the price to be more competitive, which works the opposite way in psychology, right? You don't see a Chanel trying to undercut, Target.
Mhm. That's crazy.
Right. So yeah, that's usually what goes wrong, is that it's too generic.
And then those of us that are trying to differentiate, we spend a lot of time really confused about what. Stop asking me for tax returns. Like that's my current pain point, because people are just like, okay, I need my tax returns done. What's your price? I'm like, that's not what we do, because they assume we're all H&R Block or whatever. I think that's very true. I think a lot of us start our business thinking, oh, I'm just gonna like replace my job, right? Or just gonna replace whatever. And that's how we usually start out. But then we get to this point where we're like, but we want more. We don't want to just be technicians, which means we have to give up stuff. And that is hard. It's so hard, especially I think a lot of business owners are pretty type A, and we're all pretty controlling, and we want stuff done a certain way.
Well, we've gotten to a point where the type A has, look, it's brought us success, right?
Mhm.
So being the tactician and being the one who delivers everything, it's led us to here. And so that's, it's hard to, in many areas of your life, both professionally and personally, to give up the tools that have served you well so far. But in order to keep growing, it's all this like, namaste, like that's how you have to, inside out. I really am a big believer in that, where you have to keep growing, but it has to change.
Yeah. I don't know if you find this, but like when we start a business, especially under our names, yours is under your name, mine was for the longest time. We're still in the process of moving it over. People really only, like a lot of our clients really kind of push back on having anybody else talk to them. Like they expect me to answer like every single question.
Totally.
And it's like, we have other people here that can, and you're going to get a faster answer probably too, right?
Yep.
And they know your stuff because they've been in it. I can go find the answer, but ask the person who does the thing. Don't, constantly coming to me is not going to get you anywhere, really.
Well, and that's also like part of what changing my job was too, is that, I had to make it clear to the clients of like, look, day to day, you're going to be serviced by this account lead, and they have so many years of experience. They're in the weeds on your stuff every single day. And part of what you're coming to us for is both the tactical part of it in the day-to-day, but you're also coming for strategy. And so there's a difference in, is this a day-to-day question? So it's a little bit of like training how we work. But it's not easy because, at the end of the day, if my clients want to talk to me, they're going to talk to me, and I'm of course here and we'll figure it out. But it just sort of is what it is.
Taking the time to just sit down and like write what goals I need to achieve every day is significantly changed what gets done around here. And how I feel at the end of the day about what happened. Because it's so easy to just hop into the inbox and deal with all the little stuff that really doesn't need an immediate reply or anything like that. Like I could spend all day in my inbox getting, client needs this, client has a question about that, staff needs this, blah, blah, blah. But if I sit down and intentionally say, this is what needs to happen today. We use the whole firm. We use a program called Gears that my coach teaches. So it's your goals, your events for the day, your actions, when you're going to rest, or when you're done, and then how you're going to take care of yourself that day. And it's just Gears all the way down. I just stick it right in my planner. The whole team has the same planner.
That's awesome.
And we all, because it's 5 spaces in each day, it works perfectly. And I know if I have a ton of events, I'm not going to really get any large projects done. But I've learned that by sitting down and doing this every day, or every work day. And it's been a game changer. let's talk cost segregation, because I really think that's probably most applicable to a lot of our clients, you know, especially in the veterinary space.
Right.
So I don't know if we've ever talked about cost segregation on the podcast before. You're our first. So what is cost segregation?
Cost segregation in its simplest term is a change in the way a commercial building is depreciated.
Mm-hmm.
You're changing the way that you allocate the cost of that building over a period of time, and it's doing it so it can be very tax advantageous to the building owner.
We're all about tax advantageous around here.
That's
You
right.
know this. So it takes the component. It takes so if you purchased a building, right? A lot of times we would just stick that into our depreciation schedules, and we would depreciate over 39 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what a cost aggregation study does is it takes it down to its components, the building's components. So maybe HVAC, maybe flooring, maybe painting, whatever, all those things. And it gives us the ability to take those things and depreciate them faster than that 39 years, right?
That's it. The lingo in the cost segregation industry is that certain components of the building are reclassified by an engineer into shorter timeframes of depreciation. So instead of 35 years, parts of the building would be reclassified into 15, 10, 7, and I think sometimes even 5-year buckets of depreciation.
There are some 5 buckets sometimes when we're looking at those. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, or wherever you prefer to listen. If you learned something and found some useful information to apply to your business today, please consider giving us a thumbs up and a review. Until next week, be abundant.